So for those of you who don't know, I'm Michael Kane, and I am the owner of Kane Mills Media. It's a small career coaching business here on Cape Cod, and I'm excited to interview Dwight Coulter, the co-owner of CycleBar West Omaha
Yes, yes.
in Omaha, Nebraska. How are you, first and foremost?
I am wonderful, my friend. I haven't seen you in a long time, so thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite.
I had hair back then too, which is wild. That is long since ceased to be.
You can borrow some of mine.
Yeah. Well, what we want to do tonight is want to talk about Dwight's journey, because Dwight has gone from college to beer sales to pro wrestling to now the fitness industry, and it's exciting to see someone with such a varied career. It should give the rest of us hope and inspiration. All right, I know you're a huge sports fan, but tell me a little bit about your relationship with sports. How did you get started playing? What games do you really love, and what interests you most about it?
I'm going to take a quick timeout. Speaking of sports references, because we had the LinkedIn issues, my mom's probably sitting at the computer like, what the heck's going on?
No problem.
I'm going to ask my wife to message her quick.
Thank you. So,
Emily, can you message my mom and say the LinkedIn stream's broken, so she won't be able to see it on Facebook? Thank you. All right, we're back. So,
all right.
Time back in. Sports. Grew up playing baseball. As big and gangly as I am, you'd think I'm a football player, but I actually played tennis in high school. Baseball, tennis, and then when I got to college, I lived with some Nebraska football players, and I was referred to as the intramural all-star because I literally played anything and everything just because I'm a competitive dude. So pretty much anything that involved competition and sports, athletics, I was there for. So you name it, I played it.
All right. Now, what did you study when you're at Nebraska?
I was a business major, minor in marketing.
Okay. How the heck are you a Syracuse and Miami fan in Nebraska? How does this happen? Long
story short, or I'll try to. 3 older brothers, and the oldest 2 weren't really big sports fans. My dad was a pessimistic Husker fan. Brother close to me, diehard Canes football fan. I'm like, okay, I'll root for Miami, but I want my own team. So Syracuse was good. I was like 10 years old. Orange is my favorite color. Donald McNabb played football, basketball. So I was like, boom, a Syracuse fan. There you have it.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. Nebraska, all Nebraska did for me is stole a bunch of my money. Screw them. Glad they fired Frost and gave him $15 million. Ridiculous.
Donovan McNabb was a senior when I was a freshman, and I think he beat the crap out of BC. So
that's a true story, probably.
Yeah, that's a pattern. The worst one I saw though was Michael Vick, because the 360 180 run that he did was at Alumni Stadium, and of course I'm sitting with my dad and my brother, and we're looking out, and we're in the end zone, the other end zone, so we have the full length field view of him go, get out, spin a guy, and then spin the DB the other way, and then get in. And you're like, this dude was a
generational talent.
That was not normal. That was, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, he and I are basically the same age, and he's, we are not the same. He is.
Mike Vick was a human video game. You guys shared the first name. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh my word. So, all right. So you get out of Nebraska and you go into beer sales.
Yep. Bud Dwight, as I was referred to as, and that kind of carried with me until today. And that honestly probably going to change in the near future, that Instagram handle. But yeah, I first job out of college working for the Budweiser distributor in Lincoln, and like doing local promotions as essentially, like, I don't call myself a beer girl, but like I was a promotions person and being the life of the party. So that was that. And then I traveled the US for a year, which a single 23-year-old guy getting paid to travel the US on Anheuser-Busch's dime. What else could someone ask for? So it was quite the year of travel and learning experience.
That's awesome. Now, what did you learn about beer when you were selling beer? I know, like, some people become craft junkies. Some people become they'll drink natural light behind a dumpster. Everybody's different. What did you learn about beer while you were selling it?
I was with the company for 10 years and I probably know less about like how beer is made and what goes into it than the average Joe. Like I'm just a great people person and a great salesperson. So I know how to work with people and make it very elementary because not everyone's a craft head, like you said. So when we were talking, we made it basic when talking about different beers. I would sample them, but I couldn't tell you the different notes or the different hops in them. And Bud Light Lime's my favorite beer. So that shows you where my taste profile is at.
America. I like it. That's awesome. Now, so I went to wrestling school in my early to mid 30s. I showed up at Ohio Valley Wrestling. My hope was to be a manager because I was pretty realistic about my athletic ability.
Yeah.
I'd done a few boot camps before I came, and I was like, the management piece I think is a little more compelling than I was closer to a rock than the rock. The good news is I think it was Rip that told me this. It was Rip or Nick. And for those of us who don't know, Rip Rogers and Nick Dinsmore were the trainers at the time. And I was given the good news that I moved like Dave Bautista.
Oh gosh.
And then I was given the bad news that Dave Bautista didn't move particularly well, and that Dave Bautista looks like Dave Bautista and I look like a regular white guy. So this was not going to work.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Tell me about how you came to do wrestling. How did you decide to give it a shot?
So it was all with the beer sales. I grew up pro wrestling fan, grew up with 3 older brothers, so watched it growing up. And I always said if I could do something in life and not fail, pro wrestling. But it was never one of those things where like I sought it out just because it just wasn't something I did. And then when I got moved to Louisville for Budweiser after my year of traveling, someone's like, "Oh, OVW's here, Ohio Valley Wrestling." I'm like, "It is?" And so I looked it up and then paid the $1,000 training fee and went through that first class with it was Capitelli's first class. Nice. R.I.P. Capitelli.
Oh yeah,
best dudes I've ever met, nicest dudes. And it was crazy because showing up to wrestling school, you show up and you're just like, oh, there's going to be all these jack dudes. Am I going to fit in? And then I was by far and above. Like, I'm not tooting my own horn. Like,
you were
the most athletic person out of the group, and it was a definite difference than what you picture it would be.
I expected everyone to be bigger.
Yeah,
and because to put it in perspective, if I don't have shoes on, I'm 5'11" 3/4. And at the time I was probably about 260 pounds. And I thought, I'm going to show up there and I'm going to be the absolute middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And then I was
people.
Then I wasn't. Then I show up and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you from now on are 6'2", 300.
Yeah. The inflated billing for the people that are listening. If you hear someone build a 6'7", 300 pounds, they're probably 6'4", 225, maybe 250.
If I had shoes on, I was maybe 6'1".
Yeah.
But so how that got solved was I was in the ring and I was asked how tall I was. And I said, I'm 6 foot. Then one of the guys who will not be named, who's clearly about 5'10", on an awesome day, says, I'm 6 foot. You can't be 6 foot.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, no, and being stupid, I'm like, oh, no, legit. Like, if you measure me, I'm 6 feet tall. And he's like,
you don't get a kid.
No. And he looks at me like I've smoked crack in front of him.
Yeah.
And says, no, you're 6'2", 6'3".
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay. That's where this is going. I got you.
That's where the light bulb went off, that this business is carny as all hell.
The worst thing was the realization, though, that the guys who have the chops that hurt the most, if you get chopped, the worst chop is not from a guy like me or you with big hands.
Yeah.
It's the guy who's a big guy but has small hands.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like it's like a knife.
Yeah. Like the smaller surface area, so it just hits home.
There was one guy in my class with Nick Dinsmore named Zach Milby, and he's a barber in Louisville, I think. And he's just an awesome guy. But when he would chop us, he was a thick kid. He was like 5'9", 230 or whatever, but he had these tiny hands.
Yeah.
So when he had the hip radius and he's coming around, you're like, You're like, okay, it's a big guy, and then all of a sudden this little hand just goes, just cuts right through you. And you're like, "Ah."
Yeah. For anyone that's never taken a pro wrestling chop, they suck. They're not
They're
fun.
awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Yeah.
It's
And
one of the most real things about pro wrestling.
that and the gravity.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, talk a little bit about Matt Capitelli, because he can always be talked about more, because that was an amazing guy.
Amazing human that was taken from this earth way too soon. It's always the good. I'm like only the good die young. Like sad.
Yeah.
The dude never, complete opposite of me. I always cuss, and like he would always refrain himself. Huge man of God, but just would give you, like, you always hear, give the shirt off your back. Like he would have given you the shirt, his car probably. Yeah. Like always went that extra mile to do good for people, or saw good in people. And honestly, like a lot can be learned from the way that man lived, because in today's world, too damn many people are quick to judge, quick to point a finger, quick to say you're wrong if you don't agree with them. And Capitelli was definitely not any of those. So I was very, very lucky to learn under his tutelage and get my start with him.
And that's the one thing I noticed about you guys, because I came back in 2017, and the guys that trained with Capitelli would go to war for that man.
Yep.
like it wasn't like, oh, he's a nice guy, he's a good trainer. It was like, no, this is the realest dude ever. Like this,
but on the flip side of anyone out there, you Google, like there's nothing bad said about him. Like no. Outside of the whatever happened with the Holly incident, but that's obviously another story with breaking people in the business. But like, yeah, like there's sometimes where you hear someone badmouth and then someone goes to bat for him. Like there was nothing ever said about bad. It was only, like you said, people trying to defend him just to say, no, he's actually this much better than what you hear he is.
Yeah, no, he got 109 on that test, not 100. Like, yeah. Now talk a little. After that, did you train with Rip, or did you train with Frank? Or
so I went to Frank's class, was only like for a little bit, and like, I don't know. This is a theme, I guess. Once we get into the entrepreneurship, I always know my worth, and I feel like I'm smarter than a lot of people, I guess. So I was just like, this middle class is complete bullshit. Pardon my language. There's my first cuss word. I'm going to cuss tonight. Just naturally who I am. But that middle class is just BS. So it's just a waste of my money. So then, I went to the advanced class and trained under Rip, and that's a whole nother can of worms.
That's almost a full podcast in and of itself.
Yeah, you're not going to learn anything about entrepreneurship if we start diving.
No. So you wrestled there for how many years? A couple of years?
4 years, and through 2 shoulder surgeries. So it was there for 2 years, and then I tore my labrum, and I was like really starting to find my feet, because I mean, it's just the connections between pro wrestling and entrepreneurship or anything, you can find them pretty easily. Yeah. So it's like, you're not going to get weight loss. It's not going to happen overnight. Getting good at pro wrestling, not happen overnight. So after 2 years, I was like, okay, I'm finally getting the hang of this, tore my labrum, and then came back after 6 months off, 7 months off, again, was doing well, had some backstage stuff as an extra with WWE. I'm like, okay, we're going places here, and then tore my other one. And then that's kind of where the CycleBar journey starts after that. So yeah.
Let's talk about that. So you've got these huge people skills. You get into wrestling, you develop the showmanship on top of the people skills, or at the very least you apply them. Yeah. And now you apply it to fitness. How did you get the spin, first of all?
So
because you're not the typical spin body.
No, I'm definitely not the typical person that's on a bike at 6'4", 230, give or take. Again, I'll say, long story short, I was dating and had a ring for a different girl than my current wife, and we were planning on opening our own fitness concept. So I'm like, well, I can stay in shape and go learn a thing or two about cycling by going to the CycleBar place in Kentucky. Lo and behold, the first day I walk in there, my wife now is the one that taught the first class I ever took. So that's a wild story in itself. And then through CycleBars, I'm like, okay, I have the entertainment aspect of, like, I'm up on the bike leading a class of 30, 40 people. And also I'm a helpful person. Like I always say, my calling in life, it's real simple. I was put in this earth to do 2 things: make people laugh and make people smile. So on that bike, I can impact your life in a positive way, just like pro wrestling. I can give you an escape from reality and just make you feel better about yourself. So that's kind of where the CycleBar part started, with then meeting Emily as well.
Yeah. Now, what's it like being in business with your wife?
It's don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
It's awesome. The hardest part about business with your wife is pretend this is a light switch that shuts on and off. There's no magical switch that you can turn off work. So like, it's not like we magically walk in the bedroom and fireworks are happening, if you catch my drift. We finally have started instated the rule lately where like it's 8 a.m. and I'm like, the office isn't open yet, like no business talk yet. Or at night, you're like, the office is closed. So that way we're trying to use that as the magical light switch, because it's amazing. I know people go and say, don't go into business with your friends. And I kind of agree with that, because if you're just like, you know, just friends, there's going to be arguments. Then I've seen falling outs from that. But if you go into business with your best friend, which she is my best friend, it's kind of like you're in it together. And I heard an awesome analogy the other day where there's two types of relationships, where there's like the cheerleader and the quarterback. And this is exactly what happened with me with pro wrestling in two different relationships. I was the quarterback. They were the cheerleader, pushing me to a certain extent. But then when the game's on the line, you want to take the quarterback out and they hold you back. So they don't get it. But now in this role, like we're both all in here, and we both know that there's a lot of shit that has to be done. And for my 2 cents, when I heard that, I'm like, that makes 100% sense to me, that like we both know what it takes to succeed. We both are aligned, like no one's on the sideline. So from that dynamic where we push each other and have the same goals, it's really cool to grow together that way.
To have a guy from Nebraska talking about the option as a metaphor is really kind of good. I like that.
Touche.
I like this. Now talk about the spin audience. I also do spin as an unconventional spin body. So my question is this: how do we get more men into spin?
Boy, that's a great question. That's literally something Emily and I discuss quite frequently, because we had a guy from the US rugby team, his like fiance is a member, and they came yesterday to my class. He did great, looked great on the bike. And there's a big misconception of, you just hear spin, and I don't know why, it just got a negative connotation with males, but it's a great workout. And it's like, I hate going for a run, so it's distracting when you're listening to dope music.
Yeah.
And from CycleBar, we have like technology to track your stats. So afterwards, if you're competitive, you can see where you rank in class. And also, again, it's not just the physical workout. I think a big misconception is that it's just the physical workout. It's a huge mental. Like we have a bunch of doctors who are members, teachers who are members, people with 5-6 kids who are members. And it's just as much a mental workout as it is a physical workout. And like, from the male perspective, I think it's taboo, and I'm glad it's coming less taboo about men talking about mental health. And it's a great way to get in there and just be like, fuck, this is on my mind. I'm gonna zone out and have me time for 30, 45 minutes. But to answer your question, I don't know how to get that, to get more men in there, but I can speak to what I just said, that I think it's a positive for not only males, females, 16, 80 years old. Like it's very, very encompassing because of the entry level. It's like you're riding a bike. A lot of people can do that.
Yeah, there are a few things that I saw. One is that my gym is a lot of retirement age females. I'm on Cape Cod. That's it's retirement land. So and they're amazing. Like they just kill it. They're just great. Just great. When I started, I couldn't get up on the bike. I couldn't stand up. Like it was like, okay. So for the first like 6 weeks, while I got into some condition, and because the funny thing is, it wasn't even my back or my core or anything like that. It was my legs were actually not physically strong enough. So I ended up working, especially when I got down to my shins and my calves. I was like, because I hadn't used them, right?
Yeah.
So I completely underestimated those. And as I got better and better, I was able to do everything and move around and really get going. And the one thing that I'm thankful for is that I didn't go running, because if I had, with the way my weight is distributed, my feet, I'm not saying I would go full Bill Walton, but my feet and my knees would have been just screaming. And the prospect for injury.
Yeah, super light on your body. If you're recovering from an upper body injury, you can sit and still get the workout in, or like when you come out of the saddle, you're not putting as much pressure on things. Or if you're recovering from a lower body injury, it's going to be one of the lowest impact things that you do on your body. So it's a great way to, rehab and slowly reintroduce yourself to that. Or the nice thing about it is you control the resistance, you control your effort. And that's anything in life. You control your effort. So you're going to go as far as you push yourself to go.
Yeah, no, I really,
that's a good quote, by the way. I felt good about that one.
We're going to hang on to that one. That's for sure. Now, the thing that I really got out of it was a realization that you can make that progress slow, because I think when I was younger, it was always like some things came very easily to me.
Yeah.
And I basically just kept throwing the same fastball because it was like, this is easy.
Yeah.
And then eventually you realize, oh no, you got to do some things that you're not good at too.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like getting on the bike, getting back into the rhythm of that. It was like I learned how, like you said, mental health psychology, how to do a slow build, how to actually put pieces together, and how to say, all right, well, you know what? I might not be up this week, but I'm going to be up for a minute next week.
Yeah.
And then then a few more after that. And it was really, really great.
And that's the problem with a lot of people these days, is everyone wants the quick result. And whether it's cycling or just like you said, growing up, like think about how long it took you to start crawling and walking and talking. Like it doesn't happen overnight, just like cycling. If you're not good at first, well, guess what? You got to keep doing it. If you're not good at anything, you got to keep doing it. And then you get better. Like it's so many people though will see someone who's successful and almost get pissed at them and hate them. I'm like, you have no clue what they busted their ass for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years behind closed doors. So again, less time to judge and more time to just appreciate. And that's just something I've learned, I guess, over my years.
And also one of American culture has many great strengths, but one of the weaknesses that we tend to glorify prodigies.
Yeah.
And the problem is that most great people are not in fact prodigies.
Yeah. They work their ass off.
Yeah. For every LeBron James, there's a Kobe, like there's like 5 Kobes because that obsession and that work is the reality for 99.999% of us. I think it's Scott Galloway, the marketing professor at NYU, who says, presume you are not Jay-Z.
A good presumption to make.
Yeah. So in other words, you're going to be doing the work and you're going to improve slow. And like, it's a great lesson to learn. It's super hard sometimes, but like, like that's reality. That's what life is. So
I think it's humbling to suck at something, but then you have much better appreciation once you finally start to do it well. Like there was a CycleBar member the other day that she hit her 300th ride. I remember her first, second, third ride. And I was like, this girl's going to quit. She just isn't getting the hang of it. And I've seen it too many times. And like, God bless you, Amanda. If you ever see this clip, like watching her transformation, so fucking cool to be like, I love it. Like, it's so cool to see someone stick to something and like, you're right there, like seeing it and seeing them work their butt off. Like good for them. I love the success stories.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And it's I gotta say, to be one of those folks, like it affects every area of your life,
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, now talk a little bit about going from working for one of the largest companies in the world to working for yourself. What's your experience been like?
Boy, how do I put this one into words? Terrifying was the first word that came to mind. I go from working for one of the biggest companies in the world with Anheuser-Busch, making $65,000+ a year, having an awesome salary, to then taking on a $500,000 loan with my not even wife yet, just fiance. Actually, before we even signed the franchise agreement, I don't even think I had proposed yet. So yeah, poop your pants moment right there. And then you're just like I said before, I think I'm smarter than a lot of people. So it's put your money where your mouth is
and put it all on 00.
Yeah. Maybe not 00. Yeah.
Okay, fine. At least black or red. That's fine.
But it was one of those things where you get the name of our LLC is Create Your Own Luck LLC, but the other name we were going to go with was Bet on Yourself. Because at the end of the day, just like you're talking casino references, if it's blackjack, if I'm on 16, you better believe I'm taking the hit, because I'm going to die on my own sword. And if I want our lives in our hands and our, success. I want it in our hands. I don't want it in someone else's hands.
Right.
And that's just the attitude that I take. And I think a lot more people should take. So terrifying to do it. Like I said, step away from all that and go all in. But being through and the lessons I've learned, I go, it's not going to happen overnight. We're almost 3 years in, and shout out to us. We have like $50,000 left on our loan. So I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to take 3, 4, 5 years, but the shit's paying off, and boy, it feels good. So it's a roller coaster. Honestly, if it's a word to describe it, it's a roller coaster.
Let's talk about biz dev. So you get started. Brand new entity. You got a franchise agreement. You got a $500,000 loan, and you have a girlfriend becoming a fiance, becoming a wife. Talk a little bit about how you go and get the customer. How you reached out.
You want another wrench in the plans? Throw COVID happening 4 months into opening. Yeah, it's fun. But getting customers. Honestly, Mike, looking back on it, we sucked. And we just put ourselves out there in terms of being at farmers markets, doing tabling events, putting up Facebook ads, and we had no clue what the hell we were doing with Facebook ads. Like looking at our initial Instagram posts and Facebook ads, like we were fucking clueless. But like it's consistency is a good word to do it. Like just like you with this podcast or us bringing our podcast back, consistency, weight loss. If you go to the gym 5 days a week and then skip 3 weeks, there's no consistency. So same thing with customer acquisition, consistency of being out there every single day, making sure someone knew about CycleBar was day by day, brick by brick, build it from the ground up.
And the word of mouth amongst your customers must be pretty great.
That's the other thing. Use things that are at your disposal. So if people are signing up and they're going to get like that's kind of the carrot you dangle in front of people at the start is you sign up before we open and you don't know what we are, you're going to get a sick rate. Which if Carla's still watching on the Instagram live, she was one of those OG people, and we thank those people because they were the ones that we say bet on yourself, that they bet on us, and I thank them for that. So it was one of those things that we kind of made promises saying this is what's coming, just trust us, and then we had to deliver, which I like to think that we do. Toot our own horn that we've been best of Omaha indoor cycling for the last 2 years, and I may or may not have got a phone call today that we just wanted again this year. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but whoops, cat's out of the bag. So 3 years in a row, pretty sweet to do.
Oh, that's a great feeling, man.
Yeah.
Now, when you've got the customers, you've got the word of mouth. What sets you guys apart? Because boutique fitness and group fitness can be expensive and can be difficult to set yourself apart. How do you guys make it different?
The initial answer you would think is when you walk in, it's state of the art cycle theater, working from the back forward, the lights, the music, the bikes, everything is just on a grander scale, and you get what you pay for. Like, yeah, no, I'm not going to say like names of other places, but you go into some places, you see the bikes, and it's a room with bikes. Like we're massive. It's like a concert style music, concert style lighting, and then the millwork in the front is all beautiful. But I would say that's just one piece of the pie. The other piece is the people. Like shout out to Rebecca, Katie, people that have been with us from the very beginning. Like if it's not for our instructors, the people that help build the community, you're nothing. So it's not only all the glitz and glam of like the awesome cycling, but also the people, the connections that you make. Again, people that tune into the IG live right now, watch on Facebook, who I didn't know 3 years ago, but now like we're friends with, and you have personal connections with.
Now, before we head out, I just want to say, first of all, how proud of you I am. This is really great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And second of all, just remind everyone where to find you on the World Wide Web and on social media.
So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Bud_Dwight, which I said that might be changing. That was my pro wrestling name. That's what I was in the beer industry, but I'm not really Bud Dwight. Maybe just at Dwight Coulter's coming. We'll see. That it's not top of mind, but as of now at Bud_Dwight. And my wife and I also do a podcast called The Waft. So check that out on YouTube. We're bringing that back. So I've been posting daily clips of that, which is very entertaining and not PG half the time.
Not safe for work, but very good.
Yes.
But I enjoy it. So, Dwight, thank you very much, man. This has been awesome. I appreciate it.
Awesome, Mike. I appreciate it, buddy. You take care. If you ever need me for anything else, you let me know.
Yes, sir. Have a great night.
Peace, buddy.